Okay, welcome back to Daily Driven Alpha, and thanks for those of you who continue to watch and subscribe and share this. We appreciate your support, and it was really nice to meet a couple of you at Coffee and Cars here in Brisbane. Today we had a good turnout of alphas and had some good discussion. Just a quick update. We've buffed the car down. It's looking great. We're very happy with it. However, unfortunately, we weren't happy with an area at the back here that we could see through. We'd broken through just slightly on the paint, and unfortunately it wasn't on the top of the body line that we could hand paint. It was in here, so we've had to sand this back down again, and we've gone through to the primer, and we'll continue to feather that out a bit more and get rid of that ridge line you can see there. And then what we're going to do is tape off this whole section here, probably up to about here, then about to here, and then we're going to run along this top deck area here, and we're going to reshoot this entire panel at the top. And that will give us the finish that we want, because if we try and do something here, it's likely that you'll see it in the light, because whenever you mix paint, it's never exactly the same as the previous day, depending on the temperature and also just how much reducer and the like that you put into it. And I didn't want to have a change in colour. So as disappointing as that is, it's still recoverable, and we'll still have a good result. But car's come up really nicely. Such a beautiful little car, this one, to restore. We're really happy with it. It's almost going to be a shame to sell it, but someone will get to enjoy it because we've put some really nice work into it. So we're very happy with it. Something else that we've done today, we've just tidied up in the shed here, and something I can suggest to you is, before you get going and start reassembling everything, pull all your parts down and have a look at what's in it, and start labelling, put everything logically together and label everything, so that when you are suddenly thinking, right, I need to put the bonnet striker plate on and the rest, you can just go to the tins that you've got or the boxes that you've got with those parts in it. You're not thinking, where have I put them? So we've spent the time today. We haven't been productive on the car, but what we're doing is we're setting ourselves up to start reassembling. Already started working on the rear screens and pulling the old clasps out and just soaking those so I can get the little circlips out and take that out, and then we'll clean that up. Original glass, it's fantastic. Looks filthy at the moment, but that'll come good. We've put some new felt in the chrome for the doors. And just a little tip for you when you're doing these, you'll notice that you've got some factory punch marks in here, and as you go through and you gently pry this up, and I suggest use a wider blade, screwdriver or a scraper even, and just gently work your way along. Don't just dig in and pull it up, because what you'll do is you'll create all these divots in your chrome, and then getting the old felt out was, well, it had been in there forever, and rusted and fallen to bits, and we really had to scrape that out. But the key tip that I wanted to give you was, when you put and punch this back down to grab this felt, put a piece of timber or whatever you've got that's hard, and the same diameter or the same width as this channel here, and drive it in there, so that when you're punching down, you're punching against a hard surface, and this grabs nicely and doesn't flex. And the other thing too is it keeps it straight, because if you don't do that, you're going to inadvertently start to put wobbles in your chrome along here, and that'll be problematic when you go to put it on the car, and you'll start chipping and breaking paint up. But they've come up nicely. The rear ones, we just bought some felt, spray glue on the inside and the outside of the thing, just whack it in. Brilliant, that was easy. Unfortunately, we've hit a little bit of a roadblock, but we'll work it out. Our passenger side quarter glass frames have lost their pivot, and that's because these cars, when they were made out of this, with these castings that are made out of cheap rubbish, and they were never meant to last this long and go the distance. And unfortunately, you can see that one's lost its post. This one's okay, but unfortunately this one's the driver's side, and both of the ones that I've got here that are missing are passenger side. So we're going to have to see if we can find another quarter glass frame second hand. I think that's probably the best option, and then we'll use that. I don't particularly want to go to Alphaholics and spend $600 on billet aluminium pivots, as nice as they are. It's a little bit expensive, a bit out of my league. Doors come up good. They've got a ceramic coating on them, so they're just waiting for all the door furniture to be built into it, so just sitting there. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you something today that's a little unusual. We've pulled the pedal box out and we're going to clean it up, but it's one of those things that we don't often pay a lot of attention to, and not many people get to see what they look like when they're pulled apart. So I'm going to pull it apart for you so you can just have a look and see where the bushing sits, and you can see some of the issues that you might have with them if yours is a little bit stiff. So I'll just get set up and then I'll come back. Okay, right, so as you can see, you've got your main centre support, nicely solid, nicely cast bit of gear, and then you've got your two pedals that just pivot off each side. To split these, and it's not too difficult, you can see that there's just a 10mm bolt that runs all the way straight through with a nut on the other end, and obviously the difficult thing is that you've got to pull this out of your car if you want to work on it, but we've got that option now, so we'll just quickly undo this. Right, so you'll see that this washer has got a ridge on it, and that fits nicely into the centre of this tube, if you like, where the bush is. So that gives you your locating space for the bolt that goes through. Right, so the inside, and I don't know if I can catch it with the light here, but the inside of this has got a brass bushing in here, and there's a whole lot of little dimples in there that catch the grease. This one is very dry, and as a consequence you can see the shaft that it's been sitting on is dry, and normally you would take this, pack that with grease in there, and then that would sit for ages and do the job. So it's just one long thin tensioning bolt that runs all the way through and just pulls the tension onto the shaft of the central bracket. Now we've got another washer over here. This one is, it's quite tight. Let's see if we can, there you go. That's come loose, and one of the things that you can do is look at the bushing and see whether or not that has been worn. So sometimes if you've got excessive play in your pedals and you're getting some slop side to side, this brass bush inside here may have worn, and so that's something to consider. Not sure, that one looks a little more worn than this one. So that's really all there is to it. It's not that difficult, and I remember the first time someone told me that there was brass bushing in here, I couldn't quite work it out for myself. I didn't know what they meant, but you can see that that just sits in there, and then you feel it to see if there's any lateral slop. There's just a tiny fraction in that. It's acceptable, but if you had to, you could go and get another brass bush made up, and you could have that pressed in so that it was nice and tight. Obviously you need a little bit of play for the grease. So what we'll do now is we will take this, take all the bolts out of this, clean that up, tape these shafts. We'll clean this up, give it a nice wire wheel, respray it silver, so it's looking trick, even though it's going to sit underneath. Doesn't matter. If you're going to do it right. And you know, we'll pull the pads off, clean this whole lever up, respray it back, and then reassemble it. So that's a little job, another 10-minute job that'll take us a couple of hours for getting the assembly prepared. So we're spending a fair bit of time getting everything done right and prepared, and then we'll start assembling, rather than trying to paint and assemble on the run. So we're taking a bit of time to prep it ahead. I hope you've found that interesting, and I hope you're enjoying some of these posts. I hope your projects are going well, and if you're got any questions, or you'd like any comments, please post them on the site. We're happy to talk to you. Please keep them respectful, obviously, and share these with others that you might think are interested. So once again, like, subscribe, thanks for watching, and we'll put another post up once we're underway a little further.